That's me playing the new South African heist game, Relooted, in South Africa with the developers behind it.
Oh, this is so gratifying.
Yeah.
I love this.
I've been playing games for decades, and I don't get wowed by everything. But this new game, where you get to reclaim stolen African artifacts from Western museums, yeah, it's really, really good. And don't just take my word for it. GameSpot also thinks so.
This is a wonderful ambassador
Thank
for
you.
your whole country, frankly. I have to be honest.
Thank you.
The narrative, the gameplay mechanics, just every element of it.
Relooted is an African futurist game where you get to do something pretty wild. Return real stolen African artifacts back to where they actually belong. The mission is simple. You break into Western museums, grab the artifacts, and get out without being caught. And here's the thing, these artifacts aren't fictional. Every single one of them is real, taken from Africa by Western nations at different points in history. In fact, Ben Myers, the co-founder of the studio behind the game, told me how a visit to the British Museum inspired the whole thing.
So I was on a trip with my parents in late 2017, and my mom, as we had dinner, was just sort of like fueled with rage because she had just seen something called the Nerad Monument, which is an ancient Greek temple from the south of Turkey that they literally dismantled and took out of the country brick by brick and then reassembled inside the British Museum. Like it's the whole front of a building that they stole, right?
Oh yeah, totally. I'm Iranian. The French did that for parts of our things.
Yeah. And so my mom very flippantly said, oh, you should make this into a game. But I could never figure out how to make moving a building out of another building interesting. So very quickly I was like, oh, African artifacts, that makes sense.
The campaign of the game asks you to re-loot various artifacts from museums scattered across Europe, and each carries historical and spiritual meaning for the people that they belong to. But that's just a small number compared to the tens of thousands of African artifacts that have been looted throughout history.
So every time you take an artifact, you can go to the artifact console and get all of the information about it, where it's from where in time it's from.
Yeah.
And it's because they're based on real artifacts.
They're all real.
Every single artifact
and
is
they
real.
all currently reside in Western museums.
This is so cool. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of research you guys have put into identifying real artifacts that have been stolen from various African countries.
Also, you get to find out about these artifacts. The stories of some of these artifacts are crazy.
What were some of the themes you wanted to explore when you were writing the narrative?
I think joy was definitely one of them, and this sense of family, because yes, we're dealing with a very heavy topic, and it's even, baked into the mechanics where you just feel this kind of freedom and this joy, because it always happens when people think of Africa in the future and it's like this desolate place. People have got mechanic arms and everybody's poor and eating rats.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to imagine a future where regular people could do awesome things.
And that's something I noticed in my conversations with developers from Kenya, Nigeria, and South Africa. They're taking back their own narratives. They're creating games with authenticity and telling their stories for gamers in Africa and all over the world.
A lot of games often about Africa, just, it's not a country, it's a whole continent with a variety of many different cultures and languages. But a lot of games have often been made in the West and Japan. How do you feel about that, responding almost to the world's, impression of your country?
The only real places in the game are in Africa. And one of the things we wanted to do is sort of parody the way the West represents Africa back to the West. So like when you go to Europe or the US, Europe is called the Old World and it's an amalgamation, generic Europe. You never go to specific countries or specific museums.
You've done the reverse.
Exactly.
Now it's just Europe.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the US is called a shiny place, and it's just like, it's obnoxious. There's billboards and lights everywhere.
Capitalism, right?
Yeah, so it's like, if you can do this to us, let's see how it looks when, we're having fun with this.
When we're doing it to you. But then, no, I think that's the element, right?
There's so many parts to this question though, because it's also like the real places. Like, we grew up playing, the Western games, right? So it's like, I know Paris from Assassin's Creed better than, a lot of places. So it's really cool to be able to give South Africans and Africans that same sense of like resonance, like seeing that place and being like, I know that place, I've been there. And that's not an experience we get to have as South Africans or Africans very often, right?
Yeah, so they're just like inside jokes that are baked into this where, if you're a South African, you'll be like, ha ha ha!
I love that. Things that only South Africans would pick up on.
Yeah.
Mahale also wanted to focus on the authenticity of the characters and even their accents when she wrote the game.
Listen, are you having second thoughts?
No, just hoping you won't get me killed.
I think it might be the most diverse collection of African accents in a game, definitely, but in many pieces of media. Like Francophone West African accents, Kenyan accents, like lots of different South African accents. It's amazing.
We may have done too much. I don't want
Mahale,
people
you did too much, please. Mahale also was very, very strict about the pronunciation. So we hired someone whose whole job was to find these people in the country and send us recordings of how to pronounce it.
Africa's games industry is among the fastest growing in the world, with more and more indie studios making their mark across the continent. And I've got to say, games like Relooted are leading the way.
What's the future look like for you guys in your imagination?
I mean, I think I would so love for this game to do well, just because it allows more games like this from African game devs to get made. And there's so many stories that can be told in the medium of games by Africans. There's some here as well, giving examples at Playtopia, and yeah, it would be amazing for those stories to be able to get told.
Great job, my baby.